Let's see what Alana Din has for us today.
This phenomenon will forever blow my mind. Like, I've had girls with zero interest in my boyfriend, wouldn't even look in his direction, suddenly think he's so cool and so funny the second I start dating him. So many girls love a taken man.
Pre-selection. Look it up if you don't know what it means, okay? Pre-selection, guys. It's well-known, well-solidified concept. At this point, people that deny this are just trying to cope as hard as possible to cling on to ideology. Sounds like a common trend these days.
And not me, because I'm not weird, but
Of course, notice how she's the exception to the rule. Aren't they always the exception to the rule every time? Each and every one of them. Why is it that every girl that speaks about the issue is somehow always the exception to the rule? I don't know if I'm the only one that's noticing this. Every single time, the exception to the rule. It's just not possible. How can every single individual girl that talks about these topics always be the exception? I'll tell you why. It's because it's a bid for attention to pick me, obviously. Pick me. I'm the exception. I don't do this. Everyone else does. I don't. Obviously. Of course.
they love a taken man because that means he's already been vetted. They don't have to figure out if he's boyfriend material or not because he clearly already has a girlfriend. So many girls would much rather go for a taken guy because if he's dating a girl, that means she already sees qualities in him to make him dateable. But like I've said, I've seen girls have zero interest in my boyfriend, see him, treat me like a princess, and suddenly he's the most interesting man in the room. Like, why are you laughing? He didn't say anything remotely funny. Don't look at him, look at me.
This is the obvious example of the catty, competitive nature of women, okay? This is just the way it is. Women don't care about the hierarchy the same way guys do. At least not generally speaking. They don't have the same respect for the hierarchy, which is why you see a lot of this cattiness occurring. And this is well documented. You know, you don't have to be that smart or read tens and thousands of studies or get into deep scientific literature to understand this basic fact that you've seen in your life, probably in many, many different scenarios.
He treats me like that because I am me.
Special.
He will not treat you like that. Stop.
That's right. I'm special, so he treat me like this, but not you. I mean, she has to throw in a little bit of, self glaze, right? She has to glaze herself a little bit. It's part of the package, right?
Stop making the mistake of thinking men will treat you the way they treat their girlfriend. Maybe they'll.
Well, unfortunately, all's fair in love and war. And yeah, sometimes guys get stolen, I guess, right? And I mean, the same way how girls will upgrade or trade up, we'll say, right? Sometimes the competitive nature of women wins over and they get the man they want, right? So we don't have to like it. I understand people's negative feelings towards that. I understand people wanting to be idealistic and say that's not what it's about and all these different things. But in reality, it's always going to exist. Whether you accept it or not does not matter. It has always existed and will always exist. There will always be a competitive nature to the dating and sexual landscape. Okay? There will always, always be this force. Okay? In the end, every person on some level, whether consciously or subconsciously, desires the best as whatever they deemed to be the best, and sometimes that best is obviously skewed on some level, but hey, we all want the best. So this process will always exist as long as people keep desiring the best. Even spiritually speaking, even within religion, right? There's still people that are more spiritual and less spiritual. So if you care only about spirituality, there is always going to be a hierarchy in that as well, right? And more desirable people that are more spiritual, arguably, if that's what you're trying to select for, right? So can't escape it, guys. It's in our nature.
Cheat. Maybe they'll make you the side chick, but they will not treat you like a girlfriend.
So this part I've actually on some level agree on. Like, yes, she might become a side chick for sure, but will she become the main one? And yeah, I mean, I guess it's up for grabs, right? I mean, in the end of the day, it all depends on who's willing to, hate to say it, but who's willing to do the most, obviously, right? And like, once again, people hate this idea. They hate it a lot, and I laugh at it because sounds so bad when we're talking about girls competing for guys for some reason. Like, publicly, you can't say this without it being extremely taboo. And then somehow we sit down on the TV, or we don't as guys, but girls will go and watch The Bachelor, where it's one guy and 25 minutes and 25 women, sorry, and they will completely just love it, love the drama, love the excitement of it. They're getting catty, screaming at the TV. How can you like her? All this stuff. So it's sort of similar with that whole idea where the most popular books in America for women was the 50 Shades of Grey. Same kind of idea here, right? Where it's like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And yet somehow it is one of the most enjoyed fantasy pieces. There's a reason why girls like it, because it's the fantasy. So if they have an opportunity to make that fantasy a reality, they are probably going to try. Okay? They are probably going to try. So anyway.
If you can take him from me, clearly he doesn't treat me as well as you thought he did.
So this is where it's sort of cope, right? If you can take him, maybe she just was better. You know, I get that you have some ego, and you know you're trying to really sell yourself in this video here, as you've mentioned a couple times now. But don't pretend like there's no girl on earth better. Okay, there's always someone technically better, right? So be careful with this too. Oh, you didn't treat me that well. I like how girls demand unconditional love, of course. So that's essentially what she's asking for here, is right. It's sort of the notion of he must unconditionally love me. And if he doesn't, well, he's obviously defective and she's also defective, but I'm the only one that's not, right? Classic stuff.
All that flirting and trying to take him from me was for nothing, because clearly he's not that great of a guy then. It's so funny to watch though, because my boyfriend is terrified of women that aren't me. So it's really funny to watch him like sprint.
Also, I can't help but point this out. I mean, to say this like publicly, terrified of women that aren't me, I mean, that's quite a stretch, right? It almost, yeah, I mean, whatever. It's a proclamation of, this is my man. Look at me. All you girls want him. Only I can have him. He doesn't want you. That's basically what this comes down to. But it's still interesting. At least she's being honest, and we definitely get a insight into the female psyche through this video. There's a lot you can pick up from this about how women are and operate if you focus on the details of what she's saying and how she's saying it. It's very important. If you like my content and you want to support me, make sure to check out my Patreon in the description below. I have a bunch of private content there, and you can interact with me.